How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Beared Down Uncut, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. We've got some breaking news out of Hallis Hall. NFL insider Dov Kleeman has reported that Matt Nagy will be retained as the head coach of the Chicago Bears in 2021. Today, in Uncut episode 111, we are back talking about Nagy returning as the Bears' head coach next year, talking about what it means for the future of quarterbacks in Chicago, as well as the future of this team. Welcome back to the show, guys. I am your host, Chris Malpe. Today, I am joined by the right of me by my co-host, Jaylen McClinton. Jaylen, huge week ahead. We have a ton of guests, a ton of cool stuff coming for Week 17, but we're kicking it off with a couple episodes of Uncut. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I had a good Sunday around 3 o'clock, and then that was messed up by the Bulls. But we have a great week ahead of us. A very big game for us. Like you said, a lot of things coming for Bear Down, and I can't be more excited.
Yeah, definitely kicking off the new year right, especially how we want to do it. So let's hop right into this. I mean, obviously, Jaylen, Matt Nagy is back. It's been a rough year for him, obviously, during that stretch where the Bears lost 6 straight. A lot of it allocated to his play calling. Also, a lot of close games early on. We've seen the offense rise. We've seen the offense fall. We've seen the defense rise. We've seen the defense fall. It's been a shaky tenure for Nagy in Chicago, but he still does have a winning record. And just as the head coach, not as the offensive play caller, I think he does a little bit better of a job. So I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on this move? You've been someone throughout our videos when things got bad that you said you think Nagy should stay. So what do you think about this news with him staying at least through 2021?
I'm not surprised at all. In his third season, he's gonna finish with either a 500 record or a positive record.
I was about to say, do not say positive record just yet. We know everyone who watches the show knows you're going to pick the Bears later this week, but let's calm down.
Why wouldn't I? If I don't, then that gives us a chance to not make the playoffs. And we did all this. That's not to make the playoffs. Of course, I'm going to pick the Bears. But so he's going to finish with either a 500 or positive record. As a Bears head coach in 3 seasons, he's never going to have a losing record. So that's basically what I was trying to say. So I'm not surprised that we're bringing him back. A lot of Bears fans criticize him because of his play calling, and I get that he was supposed to come in and be this offensive guru, and the offense hasn't looked very good in the last 2 years. Bill Lazor has, basically rejuvenated his offense. We're putting up 40 or 30 plus points in 4 straight games, something that hasn't happened since 1965. So I'm not surprised that we're bringing him back. I think that this is a very good move. Matt Nagy is a very good head coach. He's a culture guy. Players love him, and I think if we fired him, especially with all this going on, that it would just be a bad move for the Bears in general.
Yeah, I got to go ahead and agree with you. And you mentioned how the offense is performing. I think that's allocated more to Bill Lazor and how his play calling has been successful with David Montgomery working more with Mitchell Trubisky. But, taking a look at what the Bears have done, 30 straight points in 4+ games hasn't been done since 1965. And if the Bears can do it next week against Green Bay, that'll be the first time the offense has put up 30 straight points in 5 straight games since 1956. So the offense has looked better since Nagy has given up the play calling. Once again, the players go to bat for him, Jaylen. It's big that you mentioned that. A lot of players have been vocal online about him staying throughout the year, most specifically Allen Robinson as well as Cordero Patterson, 2 guys that I hope are back with the Bears with Nagy next year in 2021. So, Jaylen, obviously, let's talk a little bit about what 2021 is going to look like with Nagy still in Chicago. And let's start with the quarterback position, because obviously we don't know what the market's going to look like for Mitchell Trubisky next February and March. We also don't know whether or not the Bears are going to draft a quarterback, but something that's been talked about throughout time with the Bears has been Nagy having his own quarterback. So, Jaylen, I want to ask you, obviously, Nagy hasn't earned a contract extension, and his original contract is set to expire after next year. So who do you put possibly drafting a new quarterback? Do you put it in Matt Nagy's hands if the Bears draft a quarterback next year? Do you want it to be Matt Nagy's guy if Mitchell Trubisky moves on from Chicago?
Of course, that should be the whole plan. We're not going to be even if we stay at 8 wins or we go to 9 wins, we're not going to be in a very good spot to draft a better quarterback or a quarterback that has.
You would assume the only two options now
would be
are
Matt
going to be
Jones
Matt
or like a
Jones and
college
Trask.
But
And
like
Matt Jones' stock is rising, and we don't really know where any of these guys are going to fall. So yeah, I gotta agree.
And Trask is an MVP candidate, so he could put his stock could rise over these next 4 months or so. So right now we're probably going to be late teens, early 20s if we make the playoffs. So we're not in a very good position to draft a quarterback, especially all these QB needy teams that are going to be ahead of us. So if we do find a way for one of those quarterbacks to fall to us, if Matt Nagy really likes that guy, then take him. But yeah, I definitely feel like that the next quarterback should be Matt Nagy's guy.
Yeah, I got to go ahead and agree with you. You know what? It's interesting that you mentioned that Trask and Jones, because I feel like Jones now is probably the lead for the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. So it should be interesting to see where he goes. His stock has been rising. Trask's stock still high, but has been falling in some spots. We don't really know how this draft's going to play out, assuming that it's going to be another virtual draft. A lot of players are going to be all over. And there was a lot of surprises last year, a lot of players that fell. But if the Bears do draft a new quarterback, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and agree with Jaylen. I know what he wants to say. I'm going to agree with him. I think it makes sense to re-sign Mitchell Trubisky, but the issue with that for me is that I think another team's going to offer him more. And if it's an enticing offer, this league's all about money. It's business at the end of the day. So I think there's still a good chance we could see him leave Chicago. But if the Bears do bring in a new quarterback, I think it absolutely has to be Nagy's guy. I'm keeping a laser eye on Jones as well as Trask. Is it worth trading up? Maybe, maybe not. The Bears, where they are, as Jaylen mentioned, late teens, will have the opportunity to draft a very good offensive lineman, a starting offensive tackle that could start day one. So it should be interesting to see what they do in the draft. Whether the next quarterback comes in through free agency, whether he comes through the draft, or whether it's Mitchell Trubisky returning again for another season, probably on a maybe 1 or 2 year deal in Chicago, even though I'm not sure how likely that is. It's got to be Nagy's decision with him coming back in 2021. It absolutely has to be up to him. So, Jaylen, 2 more questions before we close this one off. This next one's pretty important. I think it's a pretty obvious one as well. Because Nagy is returning, do you think Ryan Pace returns next year?
Yes, I feel like same thing with Pace. A lot of people want to fire Pace, but this draft class alone has helped a lot with the Bears' success. You know, Jalen Johnson, he's our number 2 corner, and we obviously see his impact. Him being out with his shoulder injury, has done for the secondary these last 2 weeks. And Cole Kmet, he's showed flashes. He's our future tight end after this season. And then obviously Darnell Mooney, who's probably been the best rookie. He's second on the team for receiving yards. So this draft class alone shows that Pace is a very good GM. I think we all know that he's a great drafter. He's had his bad draft picks, but no GM is gonna have all good draft picks, especially when they're been a GM for 6+ years. So I'm a Pace guy. I love what Pace has done for this team. Built this amazing defense. He gave us weapons on the offensive side of the ball. David Montgomery's a 1,000 yard runner. He drafted Jordan Howard, who was a 1,000 yard runner. Roquan Smith is an All Pro. Eddie Jackson found him and Tariq Cohen in 5 picks apart, and they were both All Pros. So what he's been able to do for this team. It is wonderful, and I don't get how people can, just want to fire him because of, one bad draft pick and Mitchell Trubisky, who wasn't even that bad. He led us to a playoff season. So I say yes. I think he stays as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. I think he stays. I do think next year they are definitely on some of the hottest seats in the NFL if things start going bad, especially depending on what happens at the top of the scale, the top of the food chain in Chicago, because we don't know what's going to happen with Ted Phillips. There's been rumors that he's been fired and is going to say he's retired. There's been rumors that he's just retiring. And depending on what happens this season, we'll see what happens with him. And whoever is the head of football operations next year, it could be ruthless. We don't know. It could be a whole new regime in Chicago, at least at the top in 2021. So it should be interesting. Jaylen, one last question before we close this one off. We've seen Bill Lazor continue to find more success as he's gotten his feet wet in Chicago as the offensive play caller, and that seems like the right move moving forward. No matter who's the quarterback, the offense looks more fluid with Lazor as the play caller. David Montgomery obviously looking great. The offensive line has looked better. So with Nagy returning in 2021, Earlier in the season when Nagy gave the play calling to Lazor, he said it was going to be a temporary thing and they were going to take it week by week. But do you think those offensive play calling duties should stay with Lazor in the evident future?
I don't get how Nagy can take
him back at this point.
Yeah, at this point, 30 plus points. We haven't put up 30 since the last time, and that was against the Falcons, and their defense is terrible.
In decades.
Exactly.
Well, we haven't put up 30 in this many consecutive games in decades.
But I'm saying, even this season alone, we only put up 30 one time, and other than that, we were struggling to.
And that was Nick Foles' magic that got us to 30 in that game. So
yeah, him being a comeback, but that didn't happen. Didn't happen after that. So I don't think Nagy can just take away the play calling. I think obviously Nagy's gonna still be able to call plays here and there, but the main play calling duty is gonna be Lazor.
Yeah, I got to go ahead and agree with you. With Nagy still in town next year, I think he's got to focus more on disciplining the team as much as possible. And you got to keep the play calling with Lazor. Obviously the quarterback situation's up in the air. Hopefully we'll have some better offensive linemen. I think the Bears heading into 2021, if they can improve that offensive line, become a team a lot more focused on what Bill Lazor likes to do, a lot of RPO, a lot of rollouts. And I think they go for more power-heavy running sets as well with David Montgomery and hopefully an improved offensive line. But with Matt Nagy returning in 2021, I still don't want him calling plays, and I think that play calling will stay assigned with Lazor. We don't know what's going to happen with Chuck Pagano in Chicago. I still think that he could get fired, but I think Bill Lazor is here to stay with the offensive performance as of lately. Thank you guys so much for tuning into episode number 111 of Uncut. We reacted to the news of Matt Nagy staying in Chicago, talked a little bit about the quarterback future, as well as the future of Ryan Pace and the offensive play calling. If you want more content from us, head over to our website, bearddown.com. You can find columns, articles, and blogs. We're kicking off our off-season coverage soon, regardless of what happens, because the Bears' offseason, even if they went all the way, which is very unlikely, would start in about a month. And we're also writing about our Week 17 game against the Green Bay Packers, a huge game. So be sure, if you have any extra time, to go check out our website. If you would like to find us on social media, we are at Beared Down on Instagram and Twitter. We're announcing some very big things that we're not going to reveal on the YouTube channel. So be sure to head over to our social media to find out some stuff that's going on later this week, as well as some interesting stuff we have going on for kicking off the new year in 2021. Finally, you can find the links to our social media pages down in the description. Me and Jaylen, our Instagram and Twitter pages. Be sure to follow both of those. It's a great way to interact with us. We're active on both platforms, and you can see our opinions on all Chicago sports and all professional sports in general. Jaylen McClinton, what a huge week. I mean, I feel like ever since we went to Minnesota, it's been the playoffs, but it is really heating up now. Seems very much so like a 2012 situation where the Packers are vying for a number one seed. The Bears are vying to get into the playoffs. And with the future of Matt Nagy, I mean, I feel like this is the biggest game Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky will ever play in with their time in Chicago. So any last words before we close this one off?
Bear down. That's about it.
Yeah, and we're going to have a ton of coverage coming this week, 2 videos a day, every day. A lot of big stuff coming in 2021. I mean, I've talked about it a lot in the past. You guys have provided us with this incredible platform in 2020, and we're going to keep it up for you guys and put out the most Bears content on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. We have a couple of big announcements coming later in the week. So if you made it this far in the video, do us a favor, drop a like and subscribe if you are new. It's been a pleasure to be your host, guys. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe. Bears fans, do us a favor, leave in the comments what you think about Matt Nagy returning to Chicago. And as always, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down. We will be back tonight, Uncut episode 112. If you made it this far in the video, you'll learn about what we're talking about. We're going to be discussing about whether or not the Bears should re-sign Mitchell Trubisky. So another interesting video coming tonight. Be sure to look out for that coming out probably around 7 or 8 p.m. Central Time. But that is pretty much it for us, guys. It's been Chris and Jaylen. That is it, and we will see you guys later tonight.